So we play, we laugh, and we joke around with our kids and our grandkids. It's good that we do because it's a way to connect. But my next guest has a bit of advice when it comes to teasing. She says there are certain things you should not tease the kids about, for it may do more harm than it does good. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson is sharing the topics to avoid. Thanks for being here. So you say there's a reason why parents tease their kids. Let's start there.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons. We oftentimes tease because we want to connect. We can tease them because we're trying to kind of tackle difficult topics. Sometimes we don't know how to talk about, and so we might tease our kids. And usually that's going to end in something a little healthier. But there's lots of times when we tease our kids and the motives aren't always that. Maybe we want change, or we're trying to control something, right? We want something different, and so we make that joke.
It's kind of passive aggressive.
It is, a little bit.
In this lighthearted way, yeah.
Sometimes we tease as parents because we're embarrassed about something that they've done, especially if other people are looking on, and that embarrassment could lead us to tease. And sometimes we tease, again, the same reason. There's a difficult topic. We don't know how to breach it or talk about it, and so we try to tease our way in, but it isn't a healthy way to do it. And so those motives, we want to check ourselves at the door first as parents. Teasing can be a part of our relationship with our kids. We just want to make sure that the motives are really healthy right out of the gate.
I appreciate your calling out these certain topic sets that should be avoided. Before we get into this all-important list, any general rules of engagement when it comes to teasing? For
sure. So when we're teasing, and this is anyone, but especially our kids, everybody's got to be having fun.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to be okay with it. It does need to be playful. Teasing should be playful. We also want to make sure that we're an equal opportunity teaser. So if I'm going to tease kids, I need to be willing and able to handle if they're going to tease back. And so we need to have that equal opportunity with it.
Well, when you said that, I thought equal opportunity with the kids too. Sometimes it might be easier to tease a certain child just based on their personality or temperament, but that consistency could get hard.
It could get hard. So again, equal opportunity even in the family that we're doing that. And also when it comes to engagement with teasing, we want to make sure that we're always looking at body language. If you're teasing your kids and you see them having a hard time making eye contact with you, or you see little or big alligator tears form in the corners of their eyes, you sense that anytime you tease, they shut down, they withdraw. We're not teasing them in healthy ways. They're not capable of, and we might be approaching it in unhealthy ways. So we want to draw back.
I like that. Watch the body language.
All right,
things we should not tease our kids about: how they look.
How they look. We don't ever want to tease about how they look.
I feel bad we even have to say this, but okay.
We do though. And one of the reasons why is because, especially when they look, meaning they've chosen their clothes, we often tease about that. We also tease where we're maybe embarrassed or insecure, meaning maybe we look at our kids and think that their ears are bigger, or that they walk funny, or that, and sometimes we see those things as parents and we tease about it and don't realize that we're actually teasing them in ways that will create more insecurities in them.
So back to the clothes. I hope the big ears would be a little more obvious, but I appreciate that you're saying it anyway. Back to the clothes, for example. Like if my child walks up in a swimsuit for church,
or on top of their clothes, that's always my favorite. Clothes first, swimsuit on top, right?
Yeah, the 2-year-old did march into sacrament meeting with sunglasses on, and I just let that go. But your point is just bring it up as a conversation. Don't lightheartedly tease, hoping they're going to pick up on the need to change.
Right. We don't want to tease them about it, especially when they're making those choices themselves. We erode their confidence, right? That's when they choose those things. That's how they start to believe in themselves and make decisions. And so we want to just help them understand why maybe a swimming suit on top of their clothing might not be a functional way to head out that day, opposed to teasing them.
Don't tease when they're afraid.
Yes, when they're afraid of things like the dark or the ocean, any of those things, they'll express fears. And we think that if we tease them about it, they might be less afraid. And it actually fuels the fear. We want to actually understand the fear, and that's what will help our kids be less afraid. But the teasing, that's not going to help it. We do this too, and sometimes it's coming from a place where we're awkward or embarrassed about it, or we don't want to spend the time helping them work through the fear.
Don't tease anything about their emotions.
Anything about emotions. If we tease our kids about their emotions, they'll stop sharing them. And that is the last thing we want to do.
So the crush on the boy, any of that.
Yeah, and again, remember, if you're both in on it, especially, boys, and as they get, you can sense those things and where it's safe and where there's space to do that. But when they come to us and they say something hurts, or that they're sad, or something is hard, or when they cry and we look at them and say something like, I thought you were tougher than that. That type of teasing, that will erode. They will shut down. Over time, they'll communicate less. They don't talk to us.
Joke or poke about what they eat.
What they eat, yeah. And this is going to play to body image. Yeah. This is going to play to those choices. We say things like, don't you think you've had enough of that? Or, man, you've gone through 4 boxes. We tease that way. And anytime we tease, again, they start to get really insecure. That's not how we want to connect. It will disconnect us from them. It also means they'll stop wanting to listen to us. So when we do want to tell them something that might be beneficial or helpful, they don't really have ears to hear it if they feel like we've mocked or teased them about those sensitive spaces.
This whole topic sort of circles back to, or at least my brain is circling around this idea of we want to treat them like little humans, like little humans, right? Not like some kid we can just play around with.
Yeah, we want to recognize that they have feelings too.
Yeah,
and that they're learning also, and that they're trying to figure out things too. Now, again, please don't hear that there's not room for teasing.
Of course.
Teasing is such a fun part of family culture and family life. But when we tap into these places that are prone to insecurities and fears, we're exploiting something instead of connecting with our kids.
Here's a big one that caught my attention. Don't tease when they're quiet.
Yes, shy, quiet, when they draw back. You know, we say things about or tease them about being so shy or unable to talk to other people, or when we go out in public, how they might be introverts instead of extroverts. That will actually make them more introverted. It will create someone who is more shy. We want to build them up and help them gain the tools to navigate those spaces instead of tease them about the fact that they might draw back in some circumstances. Again, we want to think through, what would it be like to be this 6-year-old or this 14-year-old right now? We also, and lastly, don't want to tease them about how they perform. And this is in sports, this is in academics. You know, we tease about a bad game on a field, right? And we make jokes about it. Well, that child is probably pretty aware they didn't play very good. And so they start to feel like they disappoint us. We also tease when it comes to being smart, and that can hurt a relationship too. Sometimes we go the other direction, right? Where we're exploiting the fact that they're so smart, you never need to study, and we go that direction. We want to celebrate it without exploiting it. And that's what that teasing sometimes does.
What would be a way then to help them laugh at their mistakes, for example, or to treat the mistakes as a little more acceptable, you know, roll off your back? What would be an appropriate way to teach that or promote that in the home without resorting to a tease?
Yeah, when we're comparing, which is what the teasing usually is when there's a mistake, we tend to set it up as a comparison space where they haven't done well enough in comparison to something. If we can pull that back, the other thing we can do is if they can say to us where they see that they've fallen short, then we can have those conversations and that kind of fun banter back and forth.
Gotcha.
And when we make sure that the teasing has to do with behavior instead of about them being good enough.
Got it.
Those are very different spaces. So we want to make sure that any teasing, to keep it healthy, is about behavior, is about what potentially they can change or do different in, instead of the fact that they're not good enough or that something's wrong with them.
This clicks, this makes sense, and I really appreciate the grab hold ability of that list that you provided today, Heather. Thank you so much. Heather coaches families and couples, individuals too. You can find her contact information on our website.